Hi everyone. It is a beautiful day out here in New York City. I'm loving the weather. It's sunny, it's warm, it's relaxing. It feels very homey today. So I'm making this video as a request for someone who asked me to make another video about my dad. I'm like, seriously? Seriously, first of all, the first video I made, I was back when I was living in LA, and it was very authentic. It was genuine. It was truthful. I don't feel a need to get on here and lie or make up stuff, although I am a storyteller. I am an author, so I do write stories. And if it's a fictional story that I'm telling you guys, I will let you know that it's fictional. But the video that I made about me having that dream where I had a dream that me and my dad had sex, that was real, you guys. That shit was fucking real as the coronavirus. It was freaking real. So I can't just get on here and start talking about me and my dad because we don't have that kind of relationship where we have sex with each other. That's just not the kind of relationship that we have. Me and my dad were cool. My dad raised me, of course, alongside my mom. You know, they were married together. I grew up in a two-parent household. So, me and my dad, cool. I just talked to my dad the other day. I love my dad, but he has never touched me in an inappropriate way. He has never even hit me. Like, my dad is a very loving, caring father. He actually spoiled the shit out of me. Like, my dad loved me in ways that, oh my gosh, I wish I can just have forever. That's, I think, the reason why I have a preference for a daddy dom. So I will take this time to talk about that for you guys who have this fetish, this incest fetish, want to hear me talk about me having sexual relationships with my dad, like seriously. But yeah, so I do have a interest, you know, that is my fetish actually, in having a relationship with a man who is a daddy dom. Daddy doms are, you know, dominant men. They're very intuitive, very sensual. They have high emotional intelligence. So these men, they know what a woman like myself needs. You know, it's not so much that, yes, this is my fetish. So sometimes people look at fetishes as like desires or wants, but it's even deeper than that. You know, it's a deep desire. It's more like a need. Like, for me, and I think this is the reason why I'm single, is that I need a certain kind of man. Like, I've dated all kinds of men, right? Variety of men. Men who were passive, men who were submissive, men who were dominant, men who were abusive. You know, on the other end of the spectrum, they just kind of took it a little bit too far. Um, Men who were poor, men who were rich, men who were the average, you know, Joe, working Joe, blue collar, men who were white collar, you know, well paid, men self-employed, entrepreneurs, doctors, like I've attorneys, all kinds of men, right? Um, but there is a special kind of man that I think I am made for. And that man is a man who is a daddy dom, who is caring, nurturing, who is sensitive yet firm, who can provide structure, who's not afraid to be in his dominance, right? Because some men, I think, they have the power to be dominant, but they're afraid to exercise it and use it. So I like a man where, after trust has been established, that he is not afraid to walk in his dominance, you know, set rules, set expectations from me, like, take care of me. You know, some of you guys are, this may be foreign to you guys, like what I'm gonna talk about here briefly. You guys just aren't really hip to this, you know. And that's okay. It's just, it sounds very foreign to you guys, but for you guys who are part of the BDSM lifestyle, like, it makes a lot of sense. I've been a part of BDSM since 2014, so it's been 6 years now, and I'm very comfortable with my identity and this lifestyle. I've accepted it as part of just who I am. I knew I was submissive for a very long time. I just didn't know what it really meant in terms of, like, there was a word for it, right? I didn't know, like, okay, this is an actual thing where there are women who take pleasure in being told what to do, take pleasure in being owned by a man, you know, not just, being his girlfriend or being his significant other, but just having the ownership, knowing that I am his, and I am not only his, but I'm his responsibility, and he will take care of me mentally, emotionally, physically. And it's not that I can't take care of myself. I think sometimes that's where people get confused, because they think that just because a woman has these desires or needs, that she can't do it by herself. So I want to make that very clear that, of course I can do it by myself, but if I have a choice, that's what turns me on in a man. A man that also has a desire to own a woman, to take care of her, to make decisions for her, to nurture her in that respect. And perhaps when I had that dream about my dad where we had sex, I think the dream, as they say, right, in psychology, dreams come from our subconscious mind, things that have been pushed down or repressed in our subconscious mind, that we don't tend to really think about, right? Like, it's in our mind, right? It's in the forefront of our mind. It may, like, a thought may come to our mind, right? Our conscious mind, but our society has conditioned us to believe that it's inappropriate or we shouldn't do it. Then what do? We put it to the back of our mind, right? We repress it. We try to forget about it. We get it out of our mind, right? So we don't think about it. We don't entertain it. And I think perhaps that's how I had the dream, That's what they say where dreams come from. So that is a real thought that I had in my mind as far as having sex with my father. And of course, it's inappropriate. So I push it to the back of my mind, and then boom, I dream about it. And so same thing with me having a desire to have a daddy dom. I think it's been a while since I've actually had a figure like that, like a man who represents that type of a dom. It's been a long time. When I first was introduced to this lifestyle, BDSM, was back in 2014, where I had a mentor in Atlanta, Georgia. He was a daddy dom, and I would say maybe that was the last time. That was the last time that I actually had a daddy dom, except for, I guess, my ex. I can't forget about my most recent serious relationship that ended back in 2017. It lasted for 3 years. He was from New York, and I guess he had certain qualities of a daddy dom. He took care of me. He was nurturing and intuitive and sensitive, but, it's a whole nother story. I don't really want to get into that. So, yes, I've had times like that, but in terms of recently, like within the past year, no. It's been a long time, so I think about it quite often. I think about, and not only think about, but maybe fantasize about, being with someone, a man who possesses those qualities, and it's just something that, it takes up space in my mind, and I haven't been able to live it out. Like, like I said, I meet a lot of guys in terms of, like, virtually meeting them on dating sites, and I chat with them, and it just doesn't, they don't do it for me. They don't quite do it for me. I know what I want, and I think that's a good place to be in, to know what you want. But maybe it's not a good place because it narrows your options when you know specifically what you want. I have a very specific type of man. And when I come across men that I know for sure don't measure up to what I'm looking for, it's not that they're not good men, you know, but it's just not what I need in a man. I shut them down, you know. I quickly shut down the communication, not interested. I don't reply to their messages. And I think that's just pretty much what happens. So I say it could be a bad thing, and knowing what I want in a man, because, you know, here I am. Like if I didn't know what I want, right? If I was just open, I didn't know, if I was confused, then I would be all with all kinds of people. But I think that's not a good thing, to meet people in person and try and experiment with different types of people just for it not to work out. It's not going to work because there's only a certain kind of man that I know works for me. That's the reason why the last relationship that I was in lasted as long as it did, for 3 years. Like, we were damn near married, living together and everything. It lasted as long as it did because he met those qualities, except for, you know, he had some other issues that came to surface in that relationship that just wouldn't allow us to continue. You know, it got toxic. Let's just leave it at that. But just imagine, you know, if I did find that right partner. Being a baby girl with a daddy dom is just a perfect match made in heaven. I could be able to be myself and allow the little girl in me to shine, to blossom, to be felt by, you know, this dominant man who touches me in the right way. And I'm not talking about physical touch. I'm talking about non-physical touch. Touch my mind. Touch my soul in a special way. It's just a certain kind of man. I think that is first and foremost more important. Because I have other preferences too I look for in a guy. Like, you know, of course, being financially stable. But that kind of factors into being a daddy dom. Because how can you be a daddy dom and take care of me if you can't take care of yourself financially? So I think they kind of go hand in hand, you know. But you definitely have to be smart. You have to be and have intellect, intelligent, to be able to connect with me in certain ways. You have to be dominant. And I made a video about dominance. You guys can go back and watch that. But what does it mean to be dominant? A lot of guys just don't have it. But I know when I come across a dominant man, the energy that he emits, my spirit responds to. And it's just beautiful. Submission is a very beautiful thing. It's beautiful.